Our next speaker tonight is Stephanie Behnke, and Stephanie is our other undergraduate fellow in the writing program this year. Stephanie grew up in the suburbs near Chicago. She lived in Downers Grove for the majority of her life before moving to Bloomington for college. She's in her second year of the sociology program here at ISU, and she spends her free time painting her nails, watching various TV show marathons on Netflix, and eating lots of pasta. Stephanie's writing research goals are to better understand how people apologize to one another in interpersonal relationships, and to create a robust picture of the choices people make when they're apologizing to each other. Her talk tonight is entitled "The Process of Expressing Apologies Among Undergraduate Students."
You could just click it. Okay. Hello, everybody. Okay, so now that I've gotten everything set up, my name is Stephanie Behnke, and today I will be talking to you guys about the process of expressing apologies among undergraduate students such as yourselves. So I chose this topic because I find it interesting how people communicate their feelings. I'm sure everyone here can't imagine life without their phones. I got my first cell phone in 6th grade, and I've grown up as a digital native and gotten in some pretty juvenile fights due to texting. And ideally, I'd like to figure out how the use of digital versus non-digital apologies helps or impacts the success of an apology. While there is a lot that I could talk to you guys about tonight, about what I've discovered so far with texting versus in-person apologies, I'm going to focus on just texting versus in-person instead of all the different mediums that people use. So, first things first, let me tell you about the type of apologies that I'm focusing on, as well as the very definition of apology that I'm referring to. An apology, what's an apology and what makes one? An apology is a statement saying you're sorry or an expression of regret for something you said or did. I'm trying to gain a better understanding of how people apologize to one another in interpersonal relationships, specifically among ISU students here. I will be focusing in on digital versus non-digital apologies. Alright, so which do you guys think undergraduate students use more often when apologizing? Texting or in person? You guys can raise your hands for this one. So, would you most likely apologize through a text message? Be honest. Or how about an apology in person? Okay. So let's take a closer look at the possible reasons why someone might decide to say they're sorry through a text message rather than in person. Alright. There are many different factors of why someone might choose to apologize through text, because these factors can be both positive and negative though. So first off, the relationship matters with whoever you're having the argument with. I'm sure how you text your significant other is much different than how you would text an acquaintance or a family member or even a close friend. And if you don't get along, you might opt out to apologize, because then you wouldn't have to see them in person. Secondly, for texting, you can't see people's reactions, therefore potentially making it harder for your apology to be successful. On the other hand, not being able to see the reaction could make saying you're sorry easier on you though. And then the third reason why someone might opt to text that they're sorry is because it's a speedy way for them to get your message. Alright, so starting with this one, you guys can read as I tell you what's about to happen. I'm going to show you 3 examples of interpersonal relationships, and on this slide there will be a scenario with one of those relationships. And I would like your input on how you would address this scenario in person. So feel free to raise your hands. So here's a scenario with your mom. Imagine you're a college girl, you're hanging out with your boyfriend, and it's getting pretty late, so you're a responsible young lady, and so you text your mom for permission. Emily, do you want to read the
Sure.
part?
Emily's playing the role of the young lady.
Yes, I'm the young lady. Hey Mom, can I sleep at Greg's tonight? We're just going to bang. Oh, and Kyle and Sami are going to be there. Greg's mom doesn't care also.
Your mama did not raise you to be a slut, so no, you can't bang at Greg's tonight. get your ass right home right now.
Oh man, sorry Mom, I meant hang, I promise.
Just come home. Alright, so your message was autocorrected thanks to your smartphone. What would be your next course of action since your apology was turned down? Anyone? Anyone?
Yeah,
Being shy is
Just
totally
a parent
fine.
over here by the door says, go home.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer. Yes, Kayla.
I would go home and apologize in person,
In person? Why would you do it in person?
because then she can see that I was being sincere about really just saying hang and not bang.
Do you think she would believe you?
If it was in person, she might.
Okay, there you go. And that brings me to texting downfalls. This is a classic example that I'm sure has happened to you at one point or another. Referring back to my previous slide, texting does have its downfalls. So the relationship mattered since it was with your mom, who you respect, and you hope she respects you as well. That's why the message was so alarming, since she is your mom after all. Furthermore, you couldn't see her reaction when she read the text. But fortunately, you did have the convenience of speed to remedy her reaction to you. One huge factor to consider when apologizing via text is that it dilutes your message. So it means that it might not be read in the same tone or the way you imagine it would be in person. Sometimes your message doesn't come across as strongly since it is kind of casual in a text message. So here's the second scenario. Alright, it's a scenario with an apology with a close friend. Let's imagine it was the weekend coming up. We're at a party last night. Things were crazy awesome, but they got a little out of hand and kind of blacked out, so you wake up to this text message. Dude, you were so drunk last night.
No, I wasn't.
Dude, you took my iPhone. You put it in a blender and you said you were making apple juice.
Oh, sorry.
Done. Now imagine that you actually did that in real life. Would you apologize again through text message? Or how would you say you're sorry when you see them in person? Does anyone want to share?
You might want to buy them a new phone.
Phones are expensive
I
though.
actually do have a friend that met his wife because he got drunk at a party at her house and broke her window, and then he had to show up the next day with like a new pane of glass and fix her window, and then he got married a couple years later. So in person could actually be a good way to
That's a very good example. Hopefully no one's breaking windows this weekend. Okay, so let's consider a few sociological or psychological explanations as to why people might avoid face-to-face apologies. One strong reason is because some people may be nervous because of guilt, judgment, or anxiety that they're feeling. No one enjoys being reprimanded for doing something wrong. And iPhones are pretty expensive in that case, so if you had broke your friend's phone, I would be really nervous to see them in person too. Moreover, some people may be uncomfortable with confrontation though. This refers back to human instinct of fight or flight, in which someone decides whether or not they want to face it or run away from that situation. Lastly, psychological explanations as to why some people avoid face-to-face apologies could be because of fear of harm or fear of failure. Many people are afraid of rejection and emotional pain, and avoiding confrontation is often seen as the best way to avoid having hurt feelings. Alright, the last scenario is a little complicated, but it's about a significant other. Imagine you are a handsome young man who's just married and you're happy together with your wife. You and your wife are shopping together at Walmart. She finds out that you already agreed to take a job offer that's another state away, but you didn't consult her first. So she's obviously upset. She walks away from you. You look around, you can't find her. You're like, maybe she went home. So you drive home and you decide to text her an apology because you haven't heard from her. I just want you to know that I love and I care about you. I never meant to hurt you like that. I tried to apologize.
You left me in Walmart.
How would you have handled this situation then, after driving back to go get her?
Funnily enough, my same friend, and
And
they're still married, so it has a happy ending.
Well, that's good. That's good. Oh my gosh. Wait, what was the situation?
Then he took a job without telling her first, actually. And yeah, so that same guy obviously had some issues. But I also happen to know in that case he spent probably between 6 months to 5 years apologizing to her for that. Like, so it kind of is interesting to say that, like, not only does it need to be face to face, but it needs to be repeated over time.
Yeah.
Okay. So at this point, we have already covered the downfalls of texting and reasons why people avoid social confrontations. In real life, there might be instances such as these where it is imperative to apologize. Referencing back to why people chose to text that they're sorry, the relationship did matter a lot in this case. Since they were so close, the convenience of speed really came in handy to try and remedy the situation. The tone and reaction wasn't really applicable in this case, and the husband most likely was already filled with a lot of anxiety about his mistake. So, whether or not your apology is through text or in person, it is ultimately important that the sincerity behind your apology is the main focus. So sometimes people utilize an apology as a formal justification for their wrongdoings. They just kind of say, yeah, I couldn't really help it, so therefore I'm sorry. Some people use an apology as an excuse for their behavior. Others simply apologize while ignoring to talk about their feelings. And touching back on my definition of apology, as long as you make a statement saying that you're sorry, that is what's important. So all those scenarios are relevant because they are real-life examples that illustrate how the use of digital versus non-digital apologies helps or impacts the success of an apology. Now, it is ironic how technology sometimes interferes despite good intentions, especially since texting was made to make communicating fast and easy. It is unfortunate how the wrong letter can transpose into something completely different through autocorrect. And in many instances, sarcasm doesn't really transfer when it's read, unfortunately. Furthermore, it's difficult how, depending on your mood when you read the text messages, your worldview can completely alter the way that you perceive a text message during the day. So this fellowship journey has been great so far, and the research will continue after tonight. And as Kayla mentioned before, the IRB process was really lengthy and a little difficult at first, but it proved to be worth it. It allowed me to be able to conduct research in a more personal way. Unfortunately, I don't have enough survey answers for the one that I'm working on currently to show any data from my current survey, but I did do previous research for my English 101 class last year, so that stuff that you do in English 101 does matter. And I wrote some similar article that sparked my continuation for what I am researching now. The article that I wrote for that class was titled "Choose Your Own Apology," and focused on the difference of cultural apologies through different mediums. On the survey online, I asked the class, which do they apologize most through, in person, via text, or social media? And half of them responded that in person, the other half through text, and one opted for other and stated that it depends on the situation. Give me 1 second. Okay, so from today forward, I am highly anticipating writing my article about the process of expressing apologies among undergraduate students. It is worth mentioning that there was a lot of different ways that I could have gone with this. It made it really hard during my research process because there were so many different terms I could have used or could have not used on the Milner research website when I was looking for scholarly research. And conclusively, I hope to get survey responses from you guys tonight. And thank you so much for listening.